Welcome. Today, we are going to connect the dots between four stories that seem worlds apart. We're talking about India's high-stakes tech race, a new fellowship for women, a critical fight to protect children, and, get this, a plan to put a nuclear reactor on the moon. They might sound totally random, but believe me, when you put them together, you get a fascinating picture of the future that's being built right now. So, what is the connection here? Well, each one of these stories represents a huge bet on what's next. They show us exactly where we're pouring our money, our brainpower, and our boldest, most ambitious ideas. So let's dive into the first one. All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the tiny silicon chips that basically run our entire world. Then we'll shift to the people, the human capital, who are driving these new ideas forward. After that, we'll look at a really tough challenge on the ground, before we take a giant leap into our future out in space. Okay, our journey begins in India, right in the middle of this massive global race to control the tiny chips that power everything. And at the very heart of India's big ambition is a place with a pretty long and complicated history, the Semiconductor Laboratory, or SCL, in Mohali. You know, the journey for SCL Mohali has been a real roller coaster. It was set up as a pioneer way back in 1983, but then a huge fire in 1989 basically stopped all its progress for years. Now, though, after decades of rebuilding, it's right back in the spotlight, front and center in India's big push into the global semiconductor game. And this isn't just talk, it's backed by some serious cash. The government is pumping 4,500 crore rupees, that's over $500 million US, into this as part of the India Semiconductor Mission. This money is all about modernizing the facility and making it a real cornerstone of the country's entire tech strategy. And here's the really smart part of the plan. CL isn't trying to compete with the most advanced cutting-edge chips in the world. Nope. The strategy is to become a powerhouse for the more basic, foundational chips that go into literally everything, from our cars to our light bulbs. It's a really practical move to build a strong domestic industry from the ground up. And, this focus on building up internal capability isn't just about hardware. So from the tech hardware itself, let's talk about the people who actually drive all this innovation. Our next story is about a really powerful new initiative designed to empower women in the world of research. It's called the Shakti Scholars Fellowship. It's a 6-month program created by the National Commission for Women. And its whole mission is to fund and support serious, data-driven research into the biggest issues that women in India are facing today. This program is really laser-focused on bringing up the next generation of thinkers and leaders. They're looking for young Indian citizens between 21 and 30 who've got at least a graduate degree and are ready to do some deep, impactful work. And these fellows won't just be sitting in a library working on abstract theories. Not at all. They'll be tackling urgent, real-world problems, everything from physical safety and legal rights to seeing how well laws against workplace harassment are actually working. The whole point is to create research that can lead to real, tangible policy changes. All right, now we have to turn to a much more sobering topic, but one that is absolutely crucial. We're talking about the huge, systemic challenge of protecting the most vulnerable people in society from the organized crime of human trafficking. This number, wow, it really points to a massive breakdown in the system. The data shows that a staggering 45% of child trafficking cases are first reported as just simple kidnappings. And that misclassification is a huge problem because it hides the true scale of this organized crime and it delays the kind of specialized response that's needed to actually take these networks down. But in response to this, the legal system is starting to adapt. This guidance from the Supreme Court is a really big deal. It tells lower courts to see a child survivor not just as a typical witness, but as an injured witness, finally recognizing the incredible trauma they've gone through. It's a call for empathy, for understanding that small inconsistencies in what they say are a result of trauma, not because they're lying. And this just highlights how complex this problem really is. For India, this isn't just an internal issue. The country is a source, a transit route, and a destination for trafficking, which essentially makes it a global hub. And this is a practice that is explicitly banned by the Constitution under Article 23, which makes this a fundamental fight for human rights. So to fight back, the government has launched a strategy with a lot of different parts. You've got a central coordinating group, the Anti-Trafficking Nodal Cell, and they're supported by on-the-ground anti-human trafficking units. But it's not just about enforcement. There are also these crucial social programs, like Mission Vatsalya for Child Protection and the 𝗓𝗏 scheme, which is all about prevention, rescue, and helping victims rebuild their lives. Okay, from some of the most critical issues we face right here on Earth, our final story takes a massive, ambitious leap out into the cosmos, and it shows just how far our plans for the future really extend. Yep, you heard that right. This is not science fiction. 𝗏𝗏, which is Russia's space agency, has officially announced that it is working with China to build and deploy a nuclear power plant right there on the surface of the moon.
And they've actually put a date on it. The target to get this totally groundbreaking project up and running is around 2036. I mean, that's just a little over a decade from now, which puts this squarely in the realm of near-future tech. It's happening.
So you might be asking, why on Earth or on the moon would they do this? Well, the answer is just as wild as the plan itself. A nuclear power plant is pretty much the only way to get the constant, reliable energy you'd need for their ultimate goal, a permanent, long-term lunar base with people living and working there. This isn't just some science experiment. This is the foundation for a real, sustained human presence beyond our planet. So when you put these four stories together, what do they really tell us? They show that progress is being pushed forward on every single level, all at the same time. From building a foundational tech industry at home and empowering the people who will drive it, to tackling our deepest social problems, and at the exact same time, literally reaching for the stars. These are all the blueprints for tomorrow. Which leaves us with one last big question. Which of these futures are we going to build first?